Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. It's another beautiful day, and we have been so very lucky with these gorgeous, warm, early fall days. And yes, it is early fall now. So, whether we like it or not, it's coming. And I'm excited actually. I'm excited about the fall colors. I'm not excited about winter, but that's okay because we're going to enjoy the beautiful season. And today I'm squeezing just another little summer project in. And so I don't know about you, but in the winter, we like to travel. We like to travel to places that are warm and sunny and beautiful. And so, of course, you will need some really fun, casual necklaces to wear with your summer outfits wherever you go this winter. So I bring you Casual Sparkle. Actually, I will start with my turquoise one. So this is the Casual Sparkle necklace. It's just a very minimal little necklace that anybody can wear from 5 to 125. And I made it in 3 colors. So 2 of them I feel, well, they're all kind of summery. But then we have Siam, which can really go either way. It can go really summery, or it could be really fun for Christmas. If you're looking for something small, minimal, perhaps a little gift for, I don't know, anyone, a teenager, a 20 something, just about anybody who you would think enjoys a design like this.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Fonda, and happy Thursday to you, my friend. It was so nice to see you in the store this afternoon.
Trudy says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Trudy.
Lori says, hello, Irina and Tony, and sends a heart and sunshine.
Oh, you're so sweet. Hi, Lori. And thank you so much for the sunshine. I can really use it right now that our days are getting so short.
Allie says, hi, cute necklace.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you so much.
Carmen says, hello, everyone.
Hi, Carmen. Well, thank you so much for joining me, my friends. So this is a super easy little necklace, which is really fun. But I'm going to address something a little bit, I think, interesting. And specifically, it is. So let me show you. So we're going to review some of the really good basics, like finishing the ends and hiding the knots. So a lot of the basics that you have already seen. But one thing that is a little bit different in this necklace is that the beads come on a strand like this. It's a minimal little strand. And the reason I love these little strands is because they're just so fun. It's like looking at a kaleidoscope. So if you notice, you know what, I'm going to move my necklaces and do this so that you can see the asymmetry. And you know, asymmetry can be absolutely wonderful. And I actually thought about doing this in an asymmetrical way. But for some reason, I wanted to balance it and make it fairly symmetrical. So it's easy enough to figure out how to do it asymmetrically. So I'm going to do the opposite and show you how to achieve symmetry with an asymmetrical strand like this, where the 2 sides do not match when it comes to the pattern.
Katie S. says, happy Thursday, all.
Hi, Katie. And thank you so much. Happy Thursday to you as well.
Kathy G says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Kathy, and good evening.
Althea says, hello, everyone.
Hello, Althea. Okay, ladies, so now that we have gathered here tonight, and hopefully a few more friends will join us, so I am just going to dive right into it. What do you think? Should we just get started? Tony is nodding, so let's just do it. Okay, so I'm going to move. Well, you know what? Actually, before I move 2 out of 3 necklaces, this is what I'm going to show you. So there's not a whole lot of designing here. It's very minimal, as I mentioned. But if you notice, 2 of these are not, or I will say 1 of these is not like the others. So you can see that the one in the middle, this is the Midnight Blue Kaleidoscope. You can see that I put the colorful beads in the center, framing the focal point bead. And then I did the opposite with the turquoise and the cyan. So I put the solid block of beads right next to my focal point. And you know, it looks fun either way. But having done this, you know, and having stared at these for the last few days, I've decided that I think I like the colorful beads in the center, framing the focal point. What do you guys like? Do you like the colorful beads in the center, or do you like the solid colored beads in the center? Please tell me in the comments. I'm very curious.
Pammy J says, good Thursday evening, everyone.
Hi, Pammy J, and good Thursday evening to you as well.
Ellen says, hi, Irina and everyone, and sends a heart.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much.
Karen says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hello, Karen, and happy Thursday, my friend.
Katie says she likes the solid colors.
Oh, you do? Interesting.
Lori says she likes both.
Thank you.
Allie says both versions look great. That's a tough one.
Okay, well, so this is what I'm going to do. Just because I chose to do the turquoise, and because I already have a solid color in the center in my turquoise necklace, I think I'm going to do the colorful beads framing the focal point. However, what I'm going to show you applies either way. Whichever side you choose to put in the center, this is going to apply.
Carmen says colorful beads in the center.
Oh, okay. Thank you,
And
Carmen.
Pammy J does too. And Fonda says I like both.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies, for the feedback. I love the feedback.
Jeline says hello.
Hi, Jeline. Okay, ladies. All right, so now that we have talked about our preferences, and so some people like the solid colors, some people like the colorful colors. Either way, what I'm going to show you is going to make sense either way. So let me show you this. The way these strands are created. This is, you know, I didn't string this. This is just how these strands come. And so if you decide to order one of these little necklaces, you will have a strand that is that has 3 colorful segments and 3 solid segments. So clearly they're asymmetrical. So in order to balance it and make it very, very simple, I'm talking about we don't want to take all these little beads off, because as we all know, it is so incredibly easy to string right from the string. So what we're going to be doing is transferring the beads onto our griffin cord. So, and if you've never done this, just wait till you see. It's so incredibly simple. However, because either way, if we start on one end, whichever end we start on, we are going to be, we're going to end up with some asymmetry. And as I mentioned, you know, that is perfectly fine if that is what you prefer. So what I'm going to do today is use this segment right here and put this segment in the center. And I'm going to, of course, have the focal point in the center of that little segment. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be transferring the beads. However, this is going to be the only center that I do not transfer. These we're actually going to have to string one little bead at a time. And you know, one thing I forgot to grab, and I'm just going to look really quickly around my room here, and I'm hoping to find a bead stopper. And if I don't find a bead stopper, oh, yay. Good news, you guys. I found a bead stopper. That's really good.
Trudy likes the colorful beads in the center too.
Oh, thank you for the input, Trudy. I really appreciate it. Okay, ladies, so clearly, whichever one you like, it's all good. So this is the first thing that I'm going to do. I am going to find not necessarily the center, but find the quote unquote center where if I put these segments side by side, I'm talking about the color blocks. If I put the color blocks side by side, I am trying to find the best position in the strand so that if I were to keep those beads on the strand, it's symmetrical. So can you guys see that? So like this would be our center. Okay, that will work out really, really nicely. So this is the first thing I'm going to do. I am going to cut off the knot and carefully slide off just the one colorful segment. So again, the colorful segment, oh, but wait, there's more. So if you look at this part of my strand, I actually have, I've lined it up so that I have symmetry at the bottom, and that means I'm going to be sliding off not just the colorful segment, but also a few of the turquoise colored beads, right? So we will slide that off carefully. And now we have some symmetry, and we're going to separate the beads in the center of what is about to become our necklace. Okay, so I just lost my spot, so let's do this one more time. So this right here seems to be the center, so we're going to separate this and just put our bead stopper in the center of this string. So essentially what I'm doing is I am saving myself a whole bunch of picking up one bead at a time while course correcting to create a little bit of symmetry. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide these beads, the beads that I slid off, into two different groups. So essentially it's going to be half and half. So you know what? This is what I'm doing. I'm just doing like 5 beads go in one direction, 5 beads go in the other direction. And it really doesn't matter how many beads I have as long as I divide them in half. Okay, I think I have 15 on one. Are you guys counting? If anybody's counting, let me know. So I think I have 15 on one side, 15 on the other side, and now I have 18 on each side. I have one bead left over. We just won't be using it. No worries. Okay. So now I'm going to take my string off the card. And you might be familiar with griffin cord. When you take it off the card, and normally it's a little bit neater. Obviously, I've already used some of the string. But either way, when you take it off the card, it comes off and it has these little zigzags or kinks. So, especially with something this lightweight, if I'm stringing something a bit heavier, I don't always bother to straighten the stringing material. But with something that is very dainty, it's a super good idea because it simply does not have enough weight to weigh your necklace down. So you can see how there are some little zigzags just from being on the card. So I have a little water here in my cup right here, and I'm just going to put it on my fingertips and draw the string through my fingertips like this, just kind of stretching it a little bit. And you will kind of feel a little bit of a stretch and then it bounces right back. So the point is not necessarily to stretch it, but to get rid of the little zigzags.
Allie has a question. Do you need to iron it at all if it's really kinked?
Oh, Allie, I don't know. I've never ironed it, but then again, I'm not really sure that I own an iron. So if you do, I guess you could iron it, but for me, it works out really, really well. You can see, yeah, just let me show you. I don't know what I have. Probably have a little Sharpie on my hand, but so this is what the string looks like once I use a little bit of water. I think it's just easier to use water. So yeah, you can laugh at me. I don't know how to iron.
I have an iron.
Tony has an iron. Yes. So
Lori says, what size griffin cord is this, please?
oh, good question, Lori. This is size 2, which is, I believe, the smallest size in griffin cord.
And Allie says, oh, never mind. I see the water is doing its job.
Yeah, it's so quick and so easy. I probably would not bother ironing. So, but then again, I'm not a fan of ironing, so I just wouldn't. Okay, guys. So now we're going to do pretty much the huge. So you've seen this probably many times. I'm going to use a wire guardian, and I like closing my wire guardians just a little bit, just so that it makes kind of a smaller loop like that. I used my chain nose pliers, and I am going to use, oh, very important, you guys, if you've never used griffin cord before, it's lovely. It comes with a needle already attached, as you can see. And when you take the needle off the card, sometimes that too will have little kinks. So no worries, we're just going to give it a little squeeze with our chain nose pliers, like right wherever you see the little kinks.
Okay. Lori says, I'm laughing about the iron.
Yeah, I know. But that's okay, you know.
Allie says, no problem. I love to iron because nobody bothers me when I'm doing it.
Oh, you know what? We all have our, little Zen things that we love to do. And yeah, if it makes you happy, why not? So I'm going to string my griffin cord through the wire guardian. So I just went through one side of the wire guardian, and now I will go through the other side of the wire guardian. And when you unravel your griffin cord from that little card, it's actually quite long. So it may be a little annoying, but my advice is just keep the whole string because you can use it on multiple projects. It's about 2 meters actually, so it's kind of a long string. But I love working with griffin cord. It has such a beautiful drape, and of course it's so very helpful to have that needle already attached to it. So now I am making a knot with my griffin cord, and the knot is going to be fairly close to the wire guardian. It's a good idea to leave just a little space between the wire guardian and the knot, the way I did it. And now, you know what, maybe I'll make it a double knot, just because, size 2 is so tiny. And it's not even that we need to have a double knot, but you know what it is. I just like having a slightly bigger knot because we're going to glue the knot with a little bit of super glue glue. And we're going to be very careful to not over glue it. But it's a lot easier to not over glue it when your knot is a little bigger. If you have a super dainty knot, it's just, it's easy to soak it with glue, and then it starts running down the working side of the string, and that's not a good thing because we don't want to make that string brittle.
Fonda says, I have an iron. Its only use is for quilting. I too have no clue how to iron clothes.
Oh, see, some of us are like that. Also, now that, it's true confessions time, the only hair dryer I have is actually for my fine silver clay. I do not own a hair dryer that I keep at home.
Randy says, my iron is a machine, also known as a clothes dryer.
Oh, very good, Randy. I'm with you on that. It's just so easy to, to let the dryer do the work, right? Okay, so as you can see, I just glued the string. So I always glue the non-working side of the string, and I start out, maybe like half an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch away from the knot. And then as you saw, I just sort of guide the glue towards the knot. So super glue is really awesome for this purpose. And part of it is that it dries so quickly. So not only does it do a super good job gluing the knot and preventing it from fraying, but it also dries so quickly, and then we can just continue working on our project.
Karen says, I have an old flat iron for hair that I have to straighten thread or cording. Just do it on a low setting.
Can you read that again?
Sure.
Didn't really understand that.
Karen says, I have an old flat iron for hair that I have to straighten thread or cording. Just do it on a low setting.
Oh, I got it. I've never used one of those gadgets, but now that you say it, that really makes sense. So thank you so much for sharing. What a good tip. Okay, ladies, so let's do a little rewind. So we have a crimp cover. So this is what a crimp cover looks like. It looks like a little Pac-Man, or it looks like an open round bead. We are going to put this right over our knot, and then we're going to use our chain nose pliers to start closing our crimp cover, also known as a knot cover in my world. And you can only push it together so much, at least this way. So now we're going to shift our chain nose pliers so that one jaw is only pushing on one side of the crimp cover, okay? And one side at a time, we're going to bring the two sides of the crimp cover together until you can barely even tell that there is a seam. So we all know that there is a seam, but oh, you know what? I think I did it a little bit too hard. and my two sides kind of slid along one another. But no worries, we can always course correct just by squeezing it in a slightly different direction. I hope it makes sense, you guys. Okay, and we just fixed it.
Kathy H says, thank you. I forgot to put my clothes in the dryer.
Oh, yay. See, this is so useful to watch our videos. We remind you to put your clothes in the dryer. It's great. Okay, ladies, so now that we have our little bits of hardware at the end of our string, we have the wire guardian and then we have the knot cover. We are going to start transferring most of our beads, at least until we get to this bead stopper. Okay, so if you don't have a bead stopper, no worries. Just put a little piece of skinny wire right in the center and it will work just as well. It's a little bit more clunky to take it off, but it will work in a pinch, you know. But honestly, I really recommend that you get some of these little stoppers. I have them in the small size, I have them in the larger size, and I use them a lot. I believe we have them in, oh no, Tony's making a face at me like, no, we don't have them in our Etsy shop. But you know, we do have them in the store. So if you just contact us, we're happy to send you those. One of these days we'll put them in the Etsy shop because, you know, I love them. I use them so much. Okay, so now we are just going to start pushing the needle right through the beads. And the way I do it is, you can see, I simply hold the beads in kind of a straight line, and sometimes you can only get a couple, sometimes you can get a bunch, but you know, hold your beads in a straight line between your thumb and forefinger, and we're just going to keep transferring our beads. I'll show you how many have already transferred, just to give you an idea of how very, very quickly this goes. I mean, look at this. This is so impressive, isn't it? So you can do this very, very quickly. And what I normally do is, if I have maybe a few inches of string, I will just occasionally cut it off so that it does not get in the way. Okay, and then we are just going to continue. So this is kind of a very zen process for me, but it's also a little bit of a challenge. You know, it's like, how many beads can I pick up at one time? So we're just going to keep going until we get to our bead stopper in the center. So in the meantime, while I'm transferring all these beads, I will tell you about some really fun things that are coming up in the near future. Well, some are in the near future, some are not quite as near, but so let me tell you what is happening here at Eclectica, especially this weekend. So this weekend, just Saturday, just one day, we're going to have a sidewalk sale. And you know, our sidewalk sales are really, really fun. We just bring all sorts of things outside, well, on the sidewalk, as one would imagine. And sometimes it's things that maybe you've never seen them, or sometimes it's like, you know, we'll just go through our back room and we'll bring out things that people have not seen in years. And sometimes it's very quirky things, like sometimes we will get rid of, oh, I don't know, various displays, So if you are in the area, come on down for the sidewalk sale. Okay, so in the meantime, I have just transferred all the beads to the one side of the bead stopper. And so I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to let them all drop. So I'm just letting them drop to one side. And so this is what I have so far. And now I'm going to use my little needle, and it's actually a little bit curved, just kind of naturally. And if it's not, you can always give it a curve yourself. And I am picking up the beads just on the one side. And so once we pick up all these little beads, we are going to put our focal point bead on the string. So anyway, so I'm hoping you guys can come visit for the sidewalk sale. I will say we've been agonizing about the weather. We always do this a little bit last minute so that we know that the weather cooperates, and it should be really fun because you'll see a lot of things that are maybe unexpected, things that you maybe have never seen even. And it's and especially if you have a small business and you need a few displays, we'll have all of that at the estate sale.
Okay. Allie says at the sidewalk sale.
Yes, the sidewalk sale. Thank you so much. I'm trying to focus on the beads, but also on what I'm saying. Clearly, it's not working all that well.
Allie says, yay, fun sales.
Yay! Okay, guys. Also, I'm teaching enameling this weekend, so I'm super excited about that. All right, so remember how we subdivided the colorful bead segment into half and half? So this is one half of the colorful bead segment. And now I am going to put the focal point piece on, and it's a dainty little focal point bead. It's just an 8mm Swarovski bead with a couple of bead caps. And so I'm going to string the caps and the bead on. And then we are going to pick up the remaining half of the colorful beads. Okay, so what else was I going to tell you about? So there, not a lot, but there's several fun events coming up here at Eclectica. And one of them is Ladies' Night. So you might be aware of this annual event that we do in November. So we have just scheduled our Ladies' Night. And that is going to be November 22nd. It's a Friday. So it's like where very dedicated beaders gather, and we play games, and I have some type of bead trivia, and usually there is a lot of food and mostly non-alcoholic drinks, but then we'll have a little wine as well, and it's a good time.
Allie says the bead caps are cute and simple. I'm sorry, Lori says they are.
Oh, thank you so much, Lori. Yeah, these are very fun bead caps. I feel like they work super well with the Swarovski bead. So I'm glad you guys like them also. So I'm stringing these beads really in no particular order. I'm just trying to mix them up a little bit, and really that's that. So, so the other thing that we are starting to plan, just starting, is if you remember, we did our own little tiny boutique show in Detroit, and we're starting to plan that. So I was actually just talking to Lauren, who does most of the planning since she is in Detroit. And so we're starting to plan that. So if anybody is watching me from Michigan,
Trudy will be coming to see you again.
yay, Trudy! I'm so glad. So we are actually going to expand the show a little bit. We're going to have more vendors this time. And I think a good time will be had by all. Okay, ladies, so I have all of my little colorful beads strung. And now I'm going to go back to just transferring the beads right from the strand. So remember, this is our remaining, just a little bit less than half of the beads. So now we no longer need our bead stopper. And we are just going to string right from the existing string. That's why I always tell everybody, please don't take your beads off the string, because there's just such a really good and efficient way to do it.
Kathy G is wondering, when will the Michigan event be?
You know, Kathy, that's a really good question. We are trying to finalize it right now. We're doing this in a fairly democratic way. We are going to be reaching out to the vendors who did it last year. So it's you know, it's a fairly small show. So we called it, at least last year, we called it Eclectica and Friends, and that's literally what it is. So it's just a small number of vendors. Like, you know, this year it will be, you know, under 20. So we're reaching out, and we're voting on dates. So as soon as we have a date, you guys will be the first to know. Okay, so, but in the meantime, we can probably give a date of the show we're doing in Minnesota, because we're doing that as well. We have been doing this show, the bead show in Minnesota.
The Twin Cities Bead Bazaar.
Yes, thank you, Tony. Twin Cities Bead Bazaar. So if anybody's watching from Minnesota, or you're close to Minnesota, please come visit.
That is going to be October. Sorry, pulling up the calendar.
I know I sprung this on Tony. You know, I was just thinking about all of our events. I wasn't necessarily planning to talk about the events, but sometimes it's just kind of
October
happens
26th.
spontaneously.
October 26th and 27th.
Okay, so if you are in, where's the show in Minnesota?
It's in Hopkins at the Eisenhower Community Center, so it's a suburb of Minneapolis.
Fantastic. So if you're in Minneapolis that weekend, we would love to see you. Okay, so I am almost there. And so now we just have a few of the turquoise beads left. And of course my needle is starting to bend a little bit, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to trim the string again, which will definitely help me. And then I also have my flat nose right here, and I am just going to straighten out the needle. So, you know, if you feel like for some reason it's getting a little harder to transfer your beads, just do those two things. Cut the string a little shorter, and also straighten your needle. And now, you guys, it's like butter. It's so easy. And not only is it super easy, but once you straighten that needle, you will see that you're able to pick up so many more beads. Okay, so all the beads are strung, and we're just going to let them drop. So just let gravity be your friend. So, well, first I'll just show you what it looks like. And it looks a little different, right? It looks a little different from this guy. And I know you can see the caps separating, but of course you have to remember that when you wear it, this is what it's going to look like. So the caps are framing the focal point bead really, really nicely. And as we are getting ready to finish the other side, we're going to remember that we don't want it's kind of like the Goldilocks story. We don't want it too tight and we don't want it too loose. We want it just right.
Allie says, satisfying project for so many shirts.
Yay! I'm so glad you pointed it out, because literally any of these 3 necklaces you could wear with nearly anything, because there's so much color in any of them.
And Fonda's wondering what size are the beads.
Thank you so much for asking, Fonda. So these are, what are they, about 2 millimeters, 2.5 maybe? I would say 2.5 millimeters. And I am going through the wire guardian. And of course, I'm going to tie a knot right here between the wire guardian and the beads. But first, we're going to give it a little smushy and make it a slightly more closed loop. And then, because you are going to want to cover the knot, you kind of have to keep in mind that, so the crimp cover or the knot cover is 3 millimeters. This is what it looks like. So we need right around that space. And this time, it's going to be just a little bit more challenging to tie the knot, because of course this time we are not able to make the overhand knot, since the beads are in the way. So however you can tie your knot is all good. So mine are essentially kind of like a loop around the knot, or what did we call it? Half hitch knot, that's what it is. So I just tied 1 half hitch knot, and I'm going to tie 1 more. Again, you know, it just gives me a little more confidence to have more than one. And especially with like little skinny string, it's not only is it a good idea because of the gluing, as I mentioned before, but also with a heavier string, sometimes we're concerned about fitting the knot into the cover, right? But this string is fairly dainty, and so we are not going to have issues putting the cover right over the knot. So again, we're putting it on the non-working side of the string and just kind of letting it run down. And if it's not running down on its own, we might want to guide it a little bit. Sometimes I will use a little piece of paper to guide it, and sometimes I'll just use the tube that the glue is in.
Lori says, and my favorite color, turquoise.
Yay! Thank you, Lori. I think it's getting to be my favorite color as well. So in fact, I'm wearing a turquoise shirt today. You know, I love turquoise, and I love kind of like a coral shade of orange. And sometimes I love them together, but I do like a lot of other colors as well. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this little string to dry, and it is dry already. You know, every time it dries like this, I'm just amazed by how quickly it dries. And so now I am going to put my crimp cover right over the knot again. And you guys have watched me make many projects where I cover the knot. And very often, the knot will not fit until we actually open up the cover. And because we are using the number 2 Griffin cord, it's so dainty that we don't even have to bother opening up the cover or even checking the cover if it's large enough, because you know it's always going to fit. So I'm closing the knot cover in the very same way as before, meaning first you bring the 2 sides together, and then when you can't go any further, you shift your chain nose pliers and you bend one side at a time until you have a nice round bead. And sometimes it's like a slightly organic round, but that also works. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And now we are going to finish the necklace by attaching a lobster claw to one side and of course the extender chain to the other side, and we have these lovely little jump rings to do that with. I like these heavy jump rings because they hold so very well. And as always, I'm using a chain nose pliers and a flat nose pliers, and we are connecting to our wire guardian. You know, wire guardians are such a great invention. Not only do they protect your wire, but they also give the loop this really nice shape. They give us a really great spot to connect to, and it also looks really good. It just, you know, looks so well finished. I am telling you, I was doing this before the invention of the wire guardian, and the wire guardians have revolutionized the jewelry industry. Certainly they have changed how I make jewelry, and yeah, definitely a really good thing.
Katie S. is wondering what the length is, please.
Oh, thank you so much for asking, Katie.
And when I measured the sample, it was 19 inches.
Okay, 19 inches. Should we check? Well, I mean, I would go with Tony's measurements, but I am just going to check anyway. So we have, my ruler only goes up to 12 inches, so that's 12. And yeah, sure enough, it is 19 inches. So Tony was right this time. So, so this is what it looks like. I have to say, I'm kind of fond of the colorful version, the color in the center framing that focal point bead. But whichever way you guys like it, it's great. If you like the more solid block of color, and then a little kaleidoscope mixed color a little further away from the center, that's good too.
Joni says, what's the best size jump ring to use when attaching the clasps?
Joni, thank you so much for asking. You know, it's kind of a very open-ended question because it all depends on the size of your clasp and also what you are attaching to. So I am very much fond of these 4mm jump rings. A lot of the time they're my go-to. So let's say, for example, if I am attaching an extender chain to a wire guardian, that is pretty much always my go-to. But you might be attaching something else to a different component. In fact, just a couple of days ago, we had a couple of ladies and they were trying to do something, and they were using jump rings that were too small for the opening. So, if that makes any sense. So, so the diameter of the jump ring was too small to fit into the opening, and then I grabbed a slightly different diameter and it went in. So sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error, but when it's this type of a configuration, just use 4mm 18 gauge and it works beautifully. Okay, ladies.
What are the colorways one more time?
Oh, yes. So the colorways. So we have turquoise kaleidoscope.
Aqua kaleidoscope.
Oh, I kept calling it turquoise. I guess it's aqua. It's like a bright aqua. You can call it aqua. You can call it turquoise. Either way, it's so pretty.
Joni says thank you.
My pleasure, Joni. So anyway, we have the aqua kaleidoscope. We have the cyan kaleidoscope, and finally the midnight blue kaleidoscope. So this is like a really, really dark blue. I love that color as well. Okay, ladies. So we're done. We're all finished with our project. So we'll do the usual. We'll do a little preview for what's coming up. So I'm just going to put my goodies on here so that I can intrigue you with these. And so this is what's coming up. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, I am going to be doing a live shopping event. And this is something I do nearly every Friday. And so tomorrow is going to be very, very exciting. Tomorrow being Friday, September 20th. I have to say this just so that, you know, if somebody watches this later and they're not sure when I did this video. So I'm talking about Friday, September 20th on the Eclectica Beads Facebook page. We are going to get ready for fall with some gorgeous autumn-inspired gemstones and components and so much more. And this is a little sampler of my fall-inspired components, but I'm going to have some super cute little acorns and more leaves. And of course, we're going to have some Halloween components. We can't do a fall show without Halloween. I will have some absolutely stunning pendants, gemstone pendants in what I perceive to be fall colors. So we're going to have a really good time. And then, of course, we have the sidewalk sale this Saturday. So if you're local, come on down. It will be a good time. And then next Thursday on my jewelry design Facebook page, which is where you guys are right this moment, we are going to make a necklace. And I guess we just sort of decided to not call it Colors of the Season as we did in the preview, but we are going to call it Enchanted Forest, because it's really forest inspired. So this is what it looks like. And you guys see the little acorns. And so we have some leaves and of course the pearls and the gemstones. And this is one of the colors. And I'm just going to move some things around and then I'll show you the other color. So this is what we're going to be making next Thursday.
Allie says, yeah, that's an awesome one. I have the purple version from a few years back. I can't wait to buy this one.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, Allie. And speaking of purple, this is not quite purple, but this is lavender. So this colorway, this is kind of an unusual colorway for me, but I'm absolutely in love with this. And I'm going to call so the more vibrant one is going to be fall, and this is winter. What do you think about my winter colorway? I do love them both, but this is just kind of unusual. This is so wintry to me. It's just like very sort of delicate tones, and I just think it's very wintry looking. kind of like first frost, you know, when you see first frost on trees. Okay, ladies, and so that is what we will be doing next Thursday. And then, but wait, there's more. So next Friday, I'm also going to, so I'm now, not to be confusing, but so now I'm talking about September 27th. And so again, I'm going to do a shopping event on the Eclectica page, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of my own trunk show, and we'll have some finished pieces, and we'll have more gemstones and more components, and again, it'll be a lot of fun. But I have been making a lot of, I actually didn't grab any for whatever reason, but I've been making a lot of pieces that are very much inspired by my trip to Canada a couple of weeks ago. When I was in Canada, I made a whole bunch of molds with various ferns and evergreens, larch, different leaves, and I'm really, really excited about those. So I'll be showing those not tomorrow, but next Friday.
Trudy says, love the winter one.
Oh, thank you so much, Trudy.
Katie S. says, love the acorn necklaces, both colorways.
Thank you so much.
Myra says, good evening, everyone. I love the acorn beads.
Hi, Myra. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, ladies. So we're done for today. And thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed all of your comments. Thank you for your comments. As usual, I am soliciting for suggestions. I'm asking you for your suggestions. You've given me suggestions in the past. If there's anything you want to see, either in the tutorials or the shopping events, please let me know. You know where to find me. I'm here to hear your suggestions, and hopefully I will make all your beading dreams come true. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow morning. Please join me at 9 o'clock. And
Karen says, thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful and creative evening.